When you hear the Book of Numbers, you're probably thinking of a dusty old census report, right? Well, forget all that. This is actually a dramatic tale of rebellion, loss, and the incredible power of a second chance. So let's break it down.
And that's really the question at the heart of this whole book. It's not just about counting people. It's about what happens when an entire generation fails and whether it's even possible to start over. The story's kind of bookended by two different numberings, but it's the journey in between them that holds all the drama.
So our story unfolds in about 4 acts. Let's start right at the beginning, at a moment of just incredible hope and promise. This is Act 1, A People Counted.
Okay, so picture this. The Israelites are camped at the foot of the famous Mount Sinai. They've just been freed from slavery in Egypt. They've received the law from God. They're organized. The air is electric with momentum. They are literally on the verge of inheriting a promised land.
Now, the glue holding all of this hope together is something called the covenant. It's this sacred agreement that pretty much defines their entire identity. Think of it like a two-way promise. God promises blessing, and in return, they promise obedience. This one concept, it's the key to understanding everything that's about to happen. And that brings us to the first census, which is what gives the book its name. But this isn't just, administrative paperwork. It's a moment of serious preparation, of getting their strength organized. They're being counted because they are about to march into their future. The stage is totally set for a huge victory.
But just as they're standing right on the brink of success, the story takes this sharp, really tragic turn. Welcome to Act 2, The Great Rebellion.
This is where the central conflict of the story just explodes into view. On one side, you have God's constant provision. We're talking protection and mercy, even in a harsh desert. And on the other side, a constant human response of rebellion and complaining. This tension is what drives the whole rest of the story.
And this isn't just some minor theme, it's the absolute core of the story. As our source material points out, the book's main focus is this cycle of rebellion and the consequences that come with it. A journey that should have taken like a few weeks ends up turning into an entire lifetime.
A cycle of rebellion like that can't go on forever. The consequences, they have to come, and they are severe. Which leads us right into Act 3, A Journey Adrift.
And this timeline, wow, it just perfectly illustrates how severe that consequence was. After a massive rebellion right at the border of the Promised Land, in their second year, they are sentenced to wander. What follows are 38 long years of just drifting in the wilderness. An entire generation lives and dies without ever seeing the promise fulfilled.
So here's the bottom line, the crucial point. The verdict is delivered. That first generation, the one that was counted back at Sinai, the one that saw all the miracles, they forfeited their inheritance. Their journey doesn't end in the Promised Land. It ends in the wilderness. But here's the twist. This isn't just a story about failure. It's a story of redemption. And that brings us to our final act, a new generation.
So, as those 38 years tick by, that generation that really only knew how to rebel, it slowly fades away. It's a pretty somber but necessary transition. It clears the stage for a fresh start.
And then, 40 years after that first census, a second one is taken. And you have to notice the location, the plains of Moab. They are right back where the first generation failed, standing at the very same edge of the Promised Land. The story has come completely full circle. So this new generation, they get counted and they get prepared. They've learned from the failures of their parents, they're organized, they are ready, and the book ends on this absolute cliffhanger of anticipation. They are poised to cross the river and finally, claim the promise.
Okay, so after this epic 40-year journey, what are the lasting lessons here? What does this ancient story have to teach us today?
Well, the book is an absolute goldmine of profound themes. It's like a masterclass in the consequences of our choices, obedience versus rebellion. It forces us to wrestle with this complex relationship between justice and mercy. How can a holy God judge disobedience so severely but still remain faithful to his original promise? And it all just highlights the enduring power of that covenant, a theme so foundational that it echoes all the way into the New Testament.
So, we're left with this really powerful question. Is this a story about human failure, or is it a story about divine patience? And the incredible truth of the Book of Numbers is that it's a story about both. And it's in that tension that we find a timeless message of hope and the amazing possibility of a second chance.